Alright, here's how to accomplish the monitor top clamp. I'm going to go a little bit quicker on this one. See if you can follow along. It should be simpler than the other part if you do it correctly. So, I've got a new part file open here. Did that already. On front plane, what I'm going to do in this case, I'll just start with a sketch. I'm not clicking extrude boss base or anything yet. I'm just going from sketch. So, sketch, here we go. Decide to do a center line because this part is also symmetric. Click and drag something up here. Okay. Oops, that didn't work. Do that. I've got an extra line segment I didn't want. Delete that. Okay. Escape. Nothing else is going on. So now what I should be able to do is I could do a corner rectangle here. That corner there up to here. Okay. I'm going to add a symmetric relationship first, again, before doing anything else. And the center line, symmetric, nice. And then I'm going to make sure that that midpoint is dragged and dropped right there. That work? Not quite. Yeah, there we go. So I highlighted that. I want a midpoint relationship there. It may end up getting taken out at a later step, but we'll see. Okay, so with that there, I'm going to smart dimension this from there to there. That is 0.625 inches thick, and this is going to be 2 inches overall. Cool, that looks good. But now what we're going to need to do is a circle. This circle is actually going to start out down here. And up it goes. So I didn't care particularly where I placed it to start, but now I'm going to do, and here's this other cool thing, the smart gesture. I'm right mouse button clicking here, holding down the right mouse button, and I'm moving vertically. And that, without having to do anything else, gets me into smart dimension mode with a gesture. Yay. So this again, 0.5285 times 2. Enter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to now dimension from the center point to this line up here. And that is going to be, what was it, 0.645, 645 thousandths of an inch away. Now I am going to trim entities. Let's try the power trim. It's click and hold the left mouse button and you're dragging. Oops, excuse me, I'm on trim to closest. Power trim is now selected. Notice how I'm left clicking and holding down the left mouse button and I'm dragging. It looks like a little X-Acto blade thing coming through. And I'm going to come back to this side, and there that went. Okay, so now I may have lost some things, but I think the other thing I'm going to have to do here is make this point and that point symmetric about there. So click on that. Control key, symmetric. That helps. So now is even allowed to move. Oh. Okay, so I've still got some blue stuff showing here. Probably going to have to do that line to that line. Coincident. Now everything goes black. Nice. So I needed to just tie that whole thing into space. Cool. I now have my sketch. Uh-oh, but I wanted to extrude this, right? I've got a sketch. Features, extrude, boss base extrude, blind, B 0.375, 3/8 of an inch thick. Check. And now onto Hole Wizard, pre-selecting that face, Hole Wizard. These are going to be counterboard features. Instead of 00, going to do that. We want a 10, but it's not a binding head screw. It's going to be a socket head cap screw. Normal fit. We may have to do our custom sizing again here. See in a second. We'll come to positions. Again, with positions, I want to try and do a little bit of a sketch construction for how it's all going to come together. Why is my double click not working? There we go. So escape if I made that part that I didn't, that line I didn't want. I can right click, hold it to do my gesture. Oops, that wasn't what I wanted either. So here, I did a gesture to come to line feature. My line right now is actually going to come in as a solid. If I did that and forgot, instead of making that a construction or a center line, I can always come back, select on that thing, and then I will click for construction. That will give me the same effect as if it was a center line. Okay, now I've got that laid out. I'm going to go back to my point tool, click my point right there, hit escape to get out of that, and I'm going to smart dimension from that point to that point, which is supposed to be that 1.528 value, I think. I can double check that if I type that in, but notice how it's not symmetric. It still doesn't know quite where to go exactly from there. If I come back and take a look at this other drawing, just to double check my value, whoops, that was the wrong one. Coming back to double check this one, so features 1.528, excellent, is what this spacing should be right there. Check. 1.528, and then I'm going to add symmetric. Point, center line. Why is it not letting me do that? Because I misselected a face. Delete. I want the center line. Now that allows me to go symmetric. Look at that. Locked in. Check. Oop. I got that zero dimension feature again. If I change this value down to 0.370 again, I should be good. Again, not necessarily recommended for best design practices, but for our purposes, that works great. Hey, oh, but wait a minute. My counterbore didn't actually go all the way through the part. Let's come back here. If you made a mistake here or something, you can edit this part after the fact, or edit the feature. That icon that I clicked on. And we are also going to do, instead of in condition blind, we're going to do through all in condition. And the other one that we may want to do is a head clearance option. So click on the option right there in head clearance. If you change this value, what you're going to notice is that the floor of the counterbore starts to drop downwards to provide what would be more space over the head of the fastener. So let's try head clearance at, oh shucks, be like 0.3 or something. If we ran the arithmetic, we could figure out the depth to that from the top that we'd want. But this is allowing us to use a shorter fastener to go through this long part that would then interface with the part underneath it, cutting down on the total number of thread turns you'd have to do to make it down, which is helpful. There you go. That's all that's required for this part too. So the next step would be assembling these all together in your printer cart assembly.